Hi, I just wanted to do a reality check about the free bus system here in Missoula. A lot of people, everybody drives here. This is not, even though there's like this claim about, the bus service and biking. Yeah, there are bike lanes, but you have some of the worst drivers in the country here in Missoula. And people come from other places and they become worse drivers here upon residing in Missoula. I don't know what it is. It could be that the infrastructure here of how the streets are designed in the first place, and then two-way streets have been turned into one-way streets, and then bike lanes have made streets narrower, which has made already distracted, demented, inebriated, sleep deprived, whatever drivers. I mean, these drivers are just like driving blind. People are constantly backing up blind into the street, in parking lots. Like in major cities like San Francisco or Oregon, you're going to find people, they actually will back into a parking spot so they can actually see when they're exiting, but the rule is just drive blind, either forward or backward. And it's weird, as a pedestrian, I discuss my difficulties crossing the street, even crossing a driveway with some Montanans. And it's weird, like they're like, well, the drivers aren't, I mean, I don't know what you're talking about when I'm talking about walking, but to hear drivers talk about other drivers, like just today, somebody was talking about how a pickup truck ran over their car. I met a person who was in the car where a pickup truck ran over their car. And anywhere else, this would be considered quite remarkable. And, but, it's just, oh, well, okay, that's weird, but it's in the realm of possibility. That will happen in Montana. Anyway, so people in Montana like to proudly say, hey, you've got free buses, because I never learned how to drive, so, that free bus, it should work, right? And these free buses run maybe every 45 minutes, maybe every half hour for where I'm trying to go. The college located buses may be more frequent. There is one bus, I think, that is every 15 minutes. But after 5 o'clock, these buses become one every hour. These buses then reduce frequency on Saturdays, and then there's really limited or no bus service on Sundays. And people are like, well, it's free, like drivers, like, I don't know if it's the liberals, I don't know if it's just the loyal Missoulians, but they're like, well, you should be happy with what you got. And the thing is that who's riding these buses? So they're infrequent service, and there's no bus shelters. I don't know how many bus shelters technically there are, but I've only used maybe 2-3 bus shelters. Not even are the stops all with signage, so you don't even know where the bus stop is. So somehow you're supposed to figure this out. And this is Montana, so you get snow, you get rain, you get heat, and there's no bus stop. And keep in mind, there is a bus every hour in some of these locations, so sometimes you're waiting for a while. And the buses don't kneel here. Like, you have to ask the driver to kneel the bus. So I have seen elderly, very frail elderly people have to clamber on the bus, and the buses here, it's like a foot off the ground. So these elderly people are having to pull themselves up. Like, the drivers here don't know that if you have an elderly person, a disabled person, an injured person, you know what you do? You kneel the bus without asking. But they don't do that here. And I've talked to a manager at Mountain Lion, and the manager chewed me out for saying, oh, you want us to kneel the bus every time? No. Kneel the bus when somebody's disabled, when somebody's elderly, when somebody is injured, And there's no conscience amongst these drivers. And I'm sure there's a few drivers that actually do know to kneel the bus, but I've ridden the buses, and it seems like certain routes, and it's the more higher end, classier routes where people are wealthier that they just know to kneel, like they've got manners. They place the person with manners in the richer neighborhoods, or maybe just the person with manners wants to work that route. I don't know. Um, so I just wanted to do a reality check about this great free bus service here in Missoula that doesn't have bus shelters, sometimes doesn't even have signage. The bus drivers won't kneel the bus, so elderly, disabled, blind, injured people have to haul themselves up. And they're not going to, and the reason why this is an issue is because that person doesn't want to slow the driver down, doesn't want to slow everybody else down, and so they just swallow it, and that's not right. Like the driver is kind of um, it's the authority, and the driver knows that they have like that extra 7 minutes that they wait anyway, like that's built in. So I'm just saying, and I'm sure there's people who are watching this who are like, well, then there shouldn't be any bus service, And I think bus service make it paid, have people pay for the bus, because another thing about taking the bus is who's riding the bus. It's like the most destitute, just messed up people. Like there aren't a whole lot of professionals. I mean, it's like it's really like the only people who are riding the bus is like the most um, lost parts of Missoula society. And so, you know what? The bus drivers resent that. The bus drivers do not like their patrons, it seems to me. And also bus drivers actually seem to have a grudge against patrons, because in my experience, like I was taking this one bus to this appointment that I had, and I took it for, I don't know, about a year. And it was the same driver, and it's a route that's like 20 minutes, and the driver knew where my stop was, because one time I got off early and he was like, "No, your stop is the next stop." I was getting off early to go to the store. But anyways, then somehow the driver, seemed to have a grudge against me, and he would keep forgetting my stop even after I rung the bell, even after I said, "Next stop, please." And this happened like 10 times. "Oh, I forgot," and um, anyways, so it's a small city where if you're taking this free bus service, the bus drivers feel resentful and entitled and judge you for taking the bus. These bus drivers are judging you for using the service. Not if you're a student, not if you're a tourist, not if you're well-heeled. If you're somebody who's poor who needs to take the bus, they don't like it. Sort of like how the government employees don't like you using food stamps or whatever, insurance, medical stuff, whatever resources. So just wanted to give a reality check, because there's a lot of people, and I'm talking to providers as well. Like a lot of providers are like, "Oh, that free bus service is so great." No, it's not. It's and like, oh, let me just throw this in here. So in the summertime, for some reason, the bus temperature is like 40 degrees. So it's like a refrigerator. It is freezing on those buses in the summertime. I don't know why. Temperatures are just so crazy cold in those buses. And then in the wintertime, all the windows are closed shut, and you get all this exhaust from the engines, like the bus is just filled with fumes from the motor, from the engine or whatever. And so it's like just a total toxic exposure. And, like when I'm taking the bus, I'm going to an appointment, and I can't even think after taking the bus because of all the the vented gases that are just going, it's, you know, when it's meant to, I guess, to be going out the window in the wintertime, it just stays in the bus. So I'm just saying that the free bus service in Missoula is not all it's cracked up to be. Thanks for watching.